What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Y'all know what today is. It is Friday, December 11th, 2020. Live stream Fridays on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. Y'all know how we do every single Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When y'all come in, make sure y'all smash that like button. If you haven't done so already and you're new to the channel, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Have your notification bell turned on to all. And most importantly, share this video on all of your social media programmings. I said programs. And I'm going to see soon who comes in here. I know that on my Streamlabs screen, it takes a little bit while for the chat box to start popping up the comments. So I'm going to go to my YouTube app and see what's going on. What's going on? The Only JS, the Shadow Assassin, what's going on? What's going on, Dub? Dewani, James, what's going on? And by the way, you can see the background is a little different. That's because I don't know what happened to my old one. It got lost somewhere, so I use this one. So don't ask if I'm about to do a triple P on a live stream. I'm not. I'm just using this as a background, and I think it's a pretty good background to use. Who else we have in here? The Buzz Report, what's going on? Pinky, JYB, Hood Mistress Reloaded. He says she just got the notification, probably because I just hit the live button. Wayne, what's going on? Jamal, what's up? I hope everybody had a good day or a good week overall. I know I did. I'm actually a little tired because I had an early start this morning. I had some errands to run, and usually what I like to do is get some rest before I actually do a live stream. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that today, so I'm gonna probably take a little bit of a nap after the stream is over because I have to go to another person's live stream later on this evening because I'm doing something over there. But it's much later on when I do that. Pinky said, congrats on being followed by Nate Parker. Appreciate you. And we're going to talk about that. That's going to be one of my topics. What's going on, Vulcan? Tyler. Let's see who's that. Joni. Tina. CD. Till. Alana. What's going on? Joe. What's up? What's up? What's up? Make sure y'all smash that like button on your way in. You said, Hood Mister, you said, I did too. My crochet business has been booming. Well, shout out to you and congrats on your crochet business. I find that crocheting is something that you don't find a lot of black people, or I would say mostly black women, getting into, but you'll be surprised who is involved with doing crocheting. Now that's a skill. I don't think I have if that was something I was trying to get into, it probably wouldn't last long. But to be honest, it's not something I would look into because I probably wouldn't have the patience. I mean, when I had to do an art class when I was in high school, we had to do some weaving stuff or whatever, and I lost interest real fast. What's going on, Versatile? Oh, I got the series. I haven't watched it yet because I've been so busy, so I'll probably start watching it tomorrow, but I appreciate you sending it to me. He says save Go-Go and Mumbo Sauce. I don't think those are going anywhere, honestly. Especially that Mumbo Sauce. That's not going nowhere. Colorado's cold as snow, and I bet it is. I bet it's cold as snow. It was actually pretty nice here today where I'm at. It was freezing yesterday, though. Yesterday and the day before was freezing, but today was like in the 60s. Dewani says, did you hear about Debo from Friday? Yes, I did. I'm actually going to briefly talk about that. What's going on, Janesta? Good afternoon to you. Rashad Walker, you said not feeling the Marvel news on not recasting T'Challa at all. I'm actually going to briefly talk about that as well. That and the one about Debo. I don't want to call him Debo because, like, you know, he has a name. Because I know his name was Tiny Lister. Well, his real name was Tommy, but they called him Tiny. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about a lot of the stuff that y'all are mentioning in the chat. I'm going to be talking about. Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, the scientist is in here. What's going on, Nicole? Pinky JYB says you're having trouble finding Michelle Serp online. I left the link in that particular video. I have to probably go back and see if I can find it. Nard was his Torian's orchestra is in effect. I'm not doing a Triple P live. I'm just having that as the background because I don't know what happened to my old background. I got lost somewhere. So this is the new one. 60 degrees here, that's cold. In California, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is cold in California for 60 degrees. I bet that is cold in Cali. What's going on, Mark? DJ? I said anything anything below 70 in California would be considered cold. And 70 is on the borderline. 60 degrees in Detroit, y'all should be glad for that. But I'm going to get started in a couple more minutes, just waiting for some more people to come in because I don't want people to miss anything or as much as possible because I'll have people come in here and say, how much did I miss? But this week in the news was very, very light. As a matter of fact, today's stream is almost going to be almost completely entertainment based. I'm going to be quite honest with you. It's only one story in here that's entertainment based, but all the stories that I'm bringing to you have some relevancy that happened within the last week. So this is going to be a pretty light stream. It's not going to be too heavy hitting like the previous streams that I've done, but they should still be good nonetheless. As always, he said, I wish NY had 60 degrees right now. Y'all got a few months to go before y'all see a 6 and a 0 anywhere on a thermometer. I'm just being honest. What's going on, Black Manta 777? Jay Foster says the NAACP needs a Triple P. I don't know if I'm going to give them one, but I do have some words about that topic. I chose not to put it into this live stream today because I already recorded a video about it, but that'll be coming soon. Most definitely. What's going on, Isaiah, the Vin Malaje? Nicole, you said you're at lunch listening. Well, I'm glad that I will be entertaining you during your lunch period or for as long as I possibly can, because I know the breaks are not going to be the same amount of time as it is for your lunch. And speaking of breaks, I actually was on a Zoom call last night about my place of employment, and after months of being out of that place, because of COVID-19, I will be returning there next week. Like like around next Thursday or something like that, after being out, because if you don't know, I've actually said this before, or I've told y'all where I work in an arena. I work in a sports arena. So of course that involves me being around a lot of people, but of course, due to unforeseen circumstances, I haven't been there since March. None of us have, but we finally got the go ahead to go back into the building, and I will be working the first couple of preseason games for the NBA under some heavy restrictions this time. It's not going to be as freeing as it was once before, but that should be quite an experience. And what I'll do is if I do go in next Thursday, I'll probably come back on here that Friday when I do my live stream, and I'll talk about like how that was, because I might have, for the first time, have to take a WUVIT test. And if that's the case, that'll be my first time ever taking one. DJ says, how do you feel about returning? I feel, I haven't returned there yet, but to know that that's about to happen, it feels kind of refreshing. It's going to feel weird because I'm not going to be there with a crowd of people. The people give that place life. So we're playing, how when the NBA were playing in that bubble, that's almost how it's going to be like there, but except now they're going to be in their respective arenas in their cities, if that makes sense. So they're not going to be playing in front of a crowd of people. There's no audience members. That's actually less stressful, but it's going to feel weird at the same time because they're so used to the noise and, dealing with the people. But that's actually going to be a stress reliever. And at least that's how it's going to be for I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't want to say and put out there when it's going to actually happen, when they are allowed to bring fans back into the facility. But for now, they're just going to be playing with no fans around. They might do the virtual thing like they did for the NBA season, where people just have their faces on a screen and they can watch from home. The FM voice says, will I be taking the vaccine? No, I don't plan on it. To do this, all I have to do is, like I said, if I have to take a WUVID test, that's not a vaccine. That's the one where they stick the swab up your nose and whatnot. But that's not a vaccine. They're not injecting me with anything. What's going on, Jordan? You're not late. I haven't really started on any topics yet, but I'm about to. The Buzz Report says, you still have to be safe. Oh, most definitely. In D.C., Joe Johnson. All right. Well, with that being said, it is 4:10. No need to drag this on any longer. I just wanted to bring that up. We will go ahead and get started. Now, the first three stories are kind of, sad stories, but I'm going to, touch on them anyway because they have to be talked about. The first person I wanted to talk about is Natalie Reed. Now, this was very unexpected. Natalie Reed, as you know, she was an actress, very comical actress. I don't know if she did stand-up, but she was a very comical actress. A lot of the movies that she's ever done in her career was very comical based. She unfortunately this past week lost her life with a battle of colon cancer at the age of 53. Holly Robinson Pete, who was another actress, broke the news on Twitter, and that's pretty much how it got out there. Nobody really knew if it was confirmed or not because she was the only one that said anything, and it wasn't confirmed by any publishing outlets. And about an hour later, she was trending like #1 on Twitter about her death, and then that's when it went out there and it confirmed that she did pass away from colon cancer. Very sad. I remember the first time I saw Natalie in anything was when she had a very small part in Set It Off. If y'all remember in the Set It Off, she played. Remember when Jada Pinkett Smith brother went over to that guy's house and he had to get like a bottle of champagne to congratulate for him to getting into college or everything like that, and the guy wanted him to cut that design into the back of his head, and she was the one that cut his hair. That was her. She had that one little small part in that movie. And then, of course, everybody remembers her in Baps. Like, that was the role where she really, like, when people really came to know who she was, when she starred in that movie Baps with Halle Berry, of course. Depending on who you ask, it was a funny movie, depending on who you ask about that movie. I mean, they did act ghetto as hell in that movie. And, you haven't really seen Halle Berry do a role like that since. But it was it had some comedy moments. It definitely had a lot of stereotypical moments in it as well. But it definitely was a movie of the time. I will say that. I don't think a movie like that would fly today. I'll put it like that. She was also, of course, in the Cinderella movie. She played the one with Brandy and Whitney Houston. She played one of the stepsisters. She was in that movie as well. I remember she was in How to Be a Player. I'm seeing people write her names in the chat. She was in How to Be a Player. She played the sister. Also, she was on this very short-lived sitcom that was that came on in the not the early 90s, like the late 90s, called Built to Last. It was, when I say short-lived, the show only lasted 3 episodes. It only lasted 3 episodes before it got pulled from the network indefinitely because of lack of ratings. And then, I really didn't see her in much of anything again until the early 2000s when she went over to UPN and hooked up with Eve for her show called Eve. And then that's when she was more on a show-based type of thing, like she was on something more consistent. When, in Eve, she played one of Eve's business partners. It was her, Eve, and I want to say she was a Puerto Rican chick. They worked in a boutique that was owned by Eve's character. And that show lasted maybe about 5 seasons, which is not bad for a majority black sitcom at that, especially during that time. And one of the last roles I saw Natalie in was in that Tyler Perry movie. It was called Medea's Big Happy Family or something like that. And that was the first time I saw Natalie in a role where she wasn't being funny, where she was being being more dramatic, so to speak. She was doing like flexing her dramatic role in that particular movie. So she had a pretty lengthy resume. She unfortunately didn't get pushed to the stardom that I feel she could have gone. But maybe she didn't want to go that far. Maybe, maybe doing the parts that she did was enough for her. Yeah, Tyler. I just mentioned the Tyler Perry movie. It was called Medea's Big Happy Family. But either way, R.I.P. to Natalie. I know she was married because Reid is her maid. Because Reid is her. I think it's her married name. So I think she was married. But R.I.P. to her nonetheless. All right, let's move on to the next story. And that's Karl Anthony Towns. In case y'all don't know, Karl Anthony Towns is a basketball player. Now, his story is very sad because while nothing happened to him, it was the people around him that makes this story sad. Karl Anthony Towns, in case y'all didn't know, has lost 7 family members this year alone to the COVID-19. One of those family members, of course, being his mother. I think she was one of the first people that we heard about actually getting and passing away from it early on when this virus really started to take shape. I don't know how he could have been able to handle that. I mean, to lose 7 family members in 1 year to this virus. I said no one should ever go up to this man and tell him that this virus isn't real. He probably, I don't know what his headspace has to be like when he has to hear people say that this virus is a hoax when you lose 7 family members to it. Like, that's crazy. I could not imagine being in his shoes. And then having to do interviews where he has to talk about it, because the people, the media and the press, they're gonna ask him about that, and they have. Like, he's done interviews here and there talking about it. I don't know who all 7 family members are, but I do know that his mother is one of them because they kept highlighting her. But he said he lost 7 family members this year because they all caught the virus. What's going on, Darian? I can imagine that he might have to go through a lot of therapy to deal with that. Because you got to imagine, this guy's a basketball player. He's still playing. He's in his prime right now. Oh, Ashton said that his dad is the only one that recovered. That's crazy. So he could have lost 8. He could have lost his mom and his dad. That's crazy. But imagine him, being a basketball player and he's playing and he has to deal with that. Well, they probably, if they have a heart, they allow him to not play, because for me, if I was an NBA player, I wouldn't be able to focus. I would not be able to focus at all. That's just like what happened with who was that? I forgot his name. The one who lost his sister. I forgot his name. I'm sure someone will put it in the chat. And he tried to play during that game, and you can tell that his game was off because he wasn't in the right headspace. So definitely, send my condolences out to him. Because I couldn't imagine. Shout out to Sean from the shop for the super chat. She says, keep holding it down, nephew. Appreciate you. He says, some dumb quote unquote sister that could have been a troll on the cozy was saying that the pandemic is fake. Thank you, Isaiah Thomas. Thank you. I knew somebody was gonna say it in the chat, and I knew I had Thomas right, but I couldn't think of his name at the moment. Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas. I remember a couple years ago he had lost his sister, and I think he lost his sister like the night before or the day of the game. It was somewhere very close, and he was playing, but you could tell that his game was off because he could not focus. I wouldn't have played that game, me personally. He's a better person than I am. I'm just being honest. I would have been like, look, coach, I just lost my sister. I can't focus. I can't play tonight. Let me take this night off, be with my family, and when I'm ready, I'll come back. But yeah, condolences out to Karl Anthony Towns. But let's move on to the next one. Now this one hit us last night. Tommy Tiny Lister, aka, as we all know, Debo from Friday, passed away I think it was last night or Thursday. I think they said Thursday though, when based on what I was reading. At the age of 62. At the age of 62. Now, from what I was reading, I'm not entirely sure if it's true or not, is that they said he had a heart attack. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. They said he had a heart attack. And appreciate the Cash App, See Truth the Revelator. I just got it. Appreciate it. Now, the crazy thing about how I found out about him is I was on a live stream on Twitch, not my live stream, but someone else's. And I was on Twitter. And I went on Twitter, went on the page, refreshed it, and somebody had reposted a clipping from an article, and it had him. It says, Tommy Tiny Lister, Debo from Friday, passes away at the age of 62. And I'm like, what? Like, that was my initial reaction, was when I saw that. And I was like, nah, are you serious right now? And then I went back and I told the people that I was on the live stream with, and they were shocked. And then I went on to Google to see if I can confirm it. But it was nothing there to confirm it because it was a breaking story. And of course, you know, when a breaking story like that happens, especially if it's on a person that's unknown, quote unquote, and you know, if it's not someone who's completely mainstream, it won't captivate the masses until a little bit later, which is what happened with him. The same thing happened with Natalie Reed. So when I saw that, and I said, okay, I'll let it subside for right now, and then I went back about an hour later, and then that's all that was trending. Like, you could go and type his name into the search bar, and then they confirmed it, and they pretty much backed it up. But like many people, my introduction to this actor, Tiny Lister, was of course Debo and Friday. Now I do know that he was in an episode of Fresh Prince. If y'all remember that episode where Will had dumped Carlton off in the hood, and Carlton had to stay in that room, and he was the big guy there. I remember seeing him in that episode. I know people said he used to wrestle back in the day as well. And of course, I remember him being in The Fifth Element as the president. Now, what's interesting about that is I think Tiny Lister was one of the first black actors to portray a black president in a movie. Now, granted, The Fifth Element was a very futuristic type movie, but it still took place in what we know as the United States. And it's crazy because he didn't have many scenes in that movie, but I liked every scene that he was in. One of my favorite scenes of him was when he had took his shoes off because his feet was hurting, and you had that guy that was trying to spy on them using that roach cam or something like that. And then he took that shoe and crushed that roach, and the sound waves were so intense on the guy's ears that the sound waves popped the headphones and expanded them off his ears. I always laugh at that part. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And I said, he did a better job as a black president acting than we had for 8 years of someone who was actually a president. Yes, I remember he did play in Martin. He was the one where Gina and Pam had hired a housekeeper because they were trying to get back at Martin for hiring those twin maids, and they had hired him. And I remember the scene where he was cleaning up with the vacuum cleaner, and to get under the sofa, he lifted the sofa up and just started using the vacuum cleaner under the sofa. So see, the thing is, he didn't have many roles or anything like that. But when you saw him on screen, his presence had to be known because he was this big dude. He looked intimidating with this deep voice, and all things like that. He was a very intimidating guy. But based on things I've heard from people, they say he was one of the nicest people you would ever meet. Yes, Joe Johnson. Yeah, I'm talking about when he was in The Fifth Element. And then, of course, someone had mentioned earlier he did have a part in The Dark Knight when there was the prisoners was on the boat when he had went up to that guard or that cop or whoever it was, and he told him to give him the bomb. And just them little few lines alone just made you kind of like, okay, y'all better give him that damn bomb, because if not, he gonna wrestle it out of you and it's not gonna look good. He took that bomb and tossed it out that boat and sat down. He only had that one scene and those little bit of lines, and in that scene he captured it. That's one thing I liked about him. He may not have had the most lines in a lot of movies, but when he was on screen, you knew who he was, and when he said his lines, you felt it in those little moments. But yeah, he was like another person like Natalie who had parts throughout the years but did not get elevated to the status that they could have been. But it's unfortunate. But I'm glad that people know who he is. And thank Ice Cube for that. Giving him that part. I can always remember him now riding down the street on Reid's bike with that squeaky sound because his ass was too big to fit on it. And then he walk up and he had his own theme music. He had his own theme music when he was walking up. How many people have their own theme music just for being the neighborhood bully? But definitely RIP to him. Condolences out to his family. He was only 62. 62. But let me move on to the next story. And that's the story of the T'Challa character and his future in the MCU. So yesterday, they had something called the Disney Investors Day. And that's basically where Disney was announcing all their upcoming stuff, mainly for their Disney Plus streaming platform. And they had a lot to announce, especially when it came to what people was really looking forward to was the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff. That was really the stuff that people really came to see. But it was an announcement that was made concerning the future of Black Panther, as well as what they were going to do with his character, because with the untimely passing of Chadwick Boseman. So Kevin Feige, who was the president of Marvel Studios, and he's pretty much that's his arena in that little sector over there, formally announced that they will not be recasting the role of T'Challa in Black Panther 2. Now, there was very mixed opinions about this. Some people said they agree with the decision. Some people said that they don't agree with the decision because they don't know how the story is supposed to go and everything like that. You want to know who has it hard right now? Ryan Coogler. As the director and one of the writers of the show, he has it hard. He has it hard because he literally has to go back and he had to rewrite some things to try to figure out what they were going to do with this character but the actor is no longer physically here. So they don't know what they're going to do. What's going on, Black Rage 843? Now, in case y'all didn't know, Black Panther 2 actually starts filming in June of next year. I have a feeling they probably were going to start filming prior to that, but with the untimely passing of Chadwick, they had to move their shoot dates because they needed to come up with another plan. Like, how were they going to Like, how are they going to figure this out? I don't know what they're going to do. Of course, the big talks is that the Shuri character is going to be the next Black Panther, because in the comics, she does take up the mantle when T'Challa briefly steps down. And then when he comes back, he gets the mantle back. But I don't know how they're going to do it. I think they were always going to go with that storyline, but not this soon. So I don't know what direction that they plan on going with this storyline, but all we can do is hope for the best, because clearly we can't use Chadwick anymore because he's no longer here. He's already filmed his last movie, which was that film on Netflix with Viola Davis. So I trust Ryan's judgment, and I trust that he's going to figure something out and they're going to have something together, because the movie is projected to come out in July of 2022. Jordan, he said, honestly, I felt they shouldn't recast for another Black Panther, but I'm surprised they went through with that decision. I'm sure that was a decision that was very hard for all of them to make over there, but they probably left that decision in Ryan's hands, since that is his movie, and they probably let him have the final say. But like I said, that was a hard thing for them to have to do. First, you got to figure out, okay, should I recast or should I not? Because it's like, if I recast him, then I might get pushback from the fans. And if I don't recast him, then what kind of story can I come up with? And you know what's so crazy now? Because we're not going to have the T'Challa character anymore, can someone put in the chat what character we probably won't see in the story now? Unless they find a way to weave that person in there, but it won't feel organic. And I was actually looking forward to that happening. Like, that would have been a good way to bring this other group in. I'm waiting to see if somebody's going to type the answer I'm looking for in the chat. Right, AK Sour God. Without the T'Challa character in there, it's almost no way that they can bring Storm in. Like, what would her purpose be? Like, what would her purpose be if she was to come in and he's not there? Because I always said that if they brought her character in, that could be a way to introduce the X-Men somehow. Giovanni DeLo said, bring back Killmonger. He's the real Black Panther. Well, here's the thing. If Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman had a very close relationship, I wonder if Michael B. Jordan would feel like, I don't know if I should do that, because I feel like I would be stepping on his toes. But like I said, I don't know how that's gonna work. So we just gotta hope for a miracle and see what happens, and hope that it turns out good. Ja Duke, appreciate the super chat. I don't know if they planned on bringing Killmonger back as much as people loved. I mean, people really loved his character. I don't know if they're going to bring him back. Nard Will says, are you still in mourning about Chadwick Boseman being Black Panther? He's their avatar. I've always used the that picture as my avatar, even way before he passed, like way before he passed. But I don't know what they're gonna do. I will say this. I don't think I would want to be in his shoes. I don't think I would want to be in his shoes, honestly. But we'll see what happens. Let's move on to the next story. Oh shoot. All right, I was supposed to have a picture. I put the wrong picture up here, but the next topic I'm gonna talk about is now this is probably the only serious topic I'm gonna talk about that's outside of the realm of entertainment, and that is the decriminalization of marijuana. How many of y'all have heard about that? It's actually something that came out last Friday, where it says the House passed a bill to decriminalize marijuana at a federal level. I wonder why they're doing that. What's going on, Chris? I wonder what that means entirely. I'm going to go ahead and read this article and see what they're talking about. It says the House of Representatives has approved legislation that would decriminalize marijuana and seek to address the devastating injustices caused by the war on drugs. Why don't they just say the war on black people? That's mainly who it affected. That's mainly who it affected. How many, like I've said in plenty of my videos, how many black people, especially black men, are in jail right now behind weed? You have black men in jail right now doing murder bid times for a little bit of weed, something that can't even kill you. Friday's vote in the Democratic-led House is the first time a chamber of Congress has voted on federal marijuana decriminalization. It has little chance of passing the Republican-led Senate, however. The bill passed largely along party lines: 222 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and Representative Justin Amash, a Libertarian, voted in support, while 158 Republicans and 6 Democrats voted against. The Republicans who voted for the bill are Florida Representative Matt Gaetz, the bill's co-sponsor, as well as Representatives Brian Mast of Florida, Tom McClintock of California, Denver Riggleman of Virginia, and Don Young of Alaska. The Democrats against were Representatives, Sherry Bustos and Dan Lipinski of Illinois, Henry Kohler of Texas, Connor Lamb of Pennsylvania, Chris Pappas of New Hampshire, and Colin Peterson of Minnesota. Millions of Americans' lives have been upended as a result of convictions for possessing small amounts of marijuana, and the racial disparities in conviction rates for these offenses are as shocking as they are unjust. So this is basically telling you right here that this bill or whatever is affecting mainly black people. Now, as far as them them releasing black people across the board behind this, I have no clue. But it's crazy how now they want to do this. They could have been did this or not did it at all. Well, not did it at all, but made it legal way back when. But it's like now they've probably figured out how to get money on the back end of this. And it's like, okay, well, now we'll, decriminalize it across the board because we got out of it what we wanted. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Maryland Democrat, said in a statement after the vote, "That's why we passed the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act today. The MORE Act would remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act and eliminate criminal penalties for individuals who manufacture, distribute, or possess marijuana. It also includes creating a process to remove prior convictions, known as expungement, and conduct sentencing review hearings for federal cannabis offenses." Did y'all hear that part? That was the part that we were asking. What would that do for people who got convicted behind it. It said it also includes creating a process to remove prior convictions known as expungement and conduct sentencing review hearings for federal cannabis offenses. And like Jordan Black said in the chat, the damage has been done. Many of these people who are in jail behind that have been in jail for years. I've always said, whenever you lose time, you don't get that back. Like I said, you have people who have spent years on top of years in jail behind weed possession. Even if you compensate them financially, the damage has still been done. See, True said they would have to let them out, but they're going to go through red tape to do it. Almost definitely. And meanwhile, you have some states, mainly on the West Coast, trying to decriminalize hardcore drugs, drugs that can actually kill you. And we know who that mainly affects. And these are people who are in jail, like Dream Chaser said, with possession. Not even selling, but just possession. It says the measure would also authorize a 5% sales tax on marijuana products to invest in services such as job training, legal aid, and substance abuse treatment for individuals adversely impacted by the war on drugs. The tax revenue would also provide funds for small business loans and allow access to marijuana licensing and employment for economically disadvantaged individuals. Appreciate the super chat, Solo Dolo. Republican Senate Majority Leader, the ventriloquist dummy known as Mitch McConnell, this week criticized the House for moving on the bill instead of passing parts of the COVID-19 stimulus bill that both parties can agree on. The House of Representatives is spending this week on pressing issues like marijuana, serious and important legislation befitting this national crisis, McConnell said sarcastically on the Senate floor. As if he cares. As if the ventriloquist dummy really cares. Why do you think he jumped out and said that? Because it mainly affects black people. That's the only reason Mitch McConnell came out and made that statement. Critics of the bill cite the lack of potential traction in the Senate. It is an unserious bill that was voted on in an unserious manner, and we rest easily knowing there is zero interest in moving this bill in the Senate and zero interest in supporting it in either the current administration or the incoming one. Kevin Sabet, president and co-founder of the Smart Approaches to Marijuana, which opposes marijuana legalization, said in a statement. Notice who's against this bill. Notice the ones who are against this bill. PC. And so far, we've just read comments from 2 PC men. But I bet you, if the topic was about opioids, then they would be for that. The House bill was introduced by Judiciary Chair Jerry Nadler last July. I have long believed that the criminalization of marijuana has been a mistake, and the racially disparate enforcement of marijuana laws has only compounded this mistake with serious consequences, particularly for communities of color. Just say black people. God damn. And there it is right there. Because, like I said, it's affecting black people, that's why they are upset behind it. The minute that they said it racial disparity, that's when they got upset. California Democratic Senator Kamala Harris, now the vice president-elect, has introduced a companion bill in the Senate, but it has been stuck in the Republican-controlled Senate Finance Committee. President-elect Mr. Touchy-Feely supports decriminalizing marijuana and the automatic expungement of prior criminal records for marijuana possession, but not Oh, listen to this. But not full legalization of the substance, a Biden campaign spokesman said last year. So he's only in half support of it, basically. And don't worry, y'all. The commentary about what recently came out about Mr. Touchy-Feely, creepy Jim Crow Joe, that's coming. That's coming within the next week. So look out for that. He would allow states to continue to make their own choices regarding legalization and would seek to make it easier to conduct research on marijuana's positive and negative health impacts by rescheduling it as a Schedule II drug. Andrew Bates, who is now a spokesperson for the Biden transition, told CNN. Despite still being illegal federally, states have legalized marijuana and stood up their own regulated market since 2012 without major federal hindrance. Both 44 and 45 administrations did not interfere with states' legalized markets. This fall, 5 additional states voted to legalize marijuana either for medicinal or recreational purposes or both, bringing the current national total to 15 states where recreational use and 36 states where medicinal use are legal, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. Even more states are eyeing legalization in the coming years, including New York, New Mexico, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. So there it is. I won't hold my breath when it comes to this. I will actually see what happens when it actually happens. But they are actually pushing for something there. But you have the usual suspects that don't want it to go forward. Mitch McConnell can sit his old raggedy chameleon looking ass down somewhere with that. He don't, like I said before, he only upset or he only got something to say because it's involving black people. Like he really cares what's going on with the people with COVID-19. He barely is moving with that. But anyway, let me move on to the next topic. And this is one I'm very glad to talk about. And that is American Skin. Shout out to Nate Parker. Shout out to Spike Lee for what I assume is going to be a masterpiece. I like this poster, a Nate Parker film. And I like the tagline, "Justice is finally on trial." So, if many of y'all aren't aware, I actually posted something up on my Twitter account a couple days ago. It was actually an old video I did talking about Nate Parker in this movie. Because this movie was actually, the movie's already done. The movie has been out for a while now. Like if you went to like film festivals, you actually were able to see it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able, but I can be patient and wait, until the 15th, which is a little over a month away. And I posted that video up there. I tagged him in it. He, retweeted it, liked it, whatever. And he, reached out to me in a DM. And y'all saw what he said because I did a whole video talking about it. And then after that, he ended up following me back on Twitter. Now, I've always told people, I don't really, like these, blue check people on Twitter. But there are some on there that I do like. Nate Parker is one of them. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I was, like many of you, blown away by what I saw. I said, yes, this is another film we've been wanting. He pulled us in with Birth of a Nation, but he still has us with this one. That trailer sent chills through my body. And it's been a while since a trailer has done that. It's been a while since he has done that. And I can't wait to watch it. I really cannot wait. And of course, the usual suspects, like someone wrote in the chat, you got people already talking shit about this movie before it even comes out. And it's usually the same exact people. Listen, they can talk all they want, but they not going to have the same desired effect that they had 4 years ago. Because this movie is going on to a streaming platform. Now, I don't know what streaming platform is going on. I might have to send him a message and ask him what streaming platform this is on. And if I get a response, I'll let y'all know. Jordan Blast says, I hope PC people take note from this film. I doubt it. Appreciate this super chat, Solo Doll. Oh, I'm glad you wrote it like that. Could you imagine if he actually titled the movie like that? Like typed American with the 3 Ks in it instead of the C? Oh. That would have hit him hard, but then I understand why he didn't. I understand why he didn't do it, because that probably wouldn't have worked because it was in the word American. See, it worked for Spike Lee when he did Black Klansman, when he put the 3 Ks there because it wasn't in the word American. But it probably would have been risky if he put the 3 Ks in American. Although that would have been dope to see. What's going on, Talking and Grubbing? But yeah, I will definitely be watching this movie. Because I think the only other person I saw in the trailer that I recognized, unless it was some other person that I didn't notice but didn't pay attention to, was Amari Hardwick. Can somebody block I'll just fight it off in the chat? Because it sounds like that comment sounds real trollish. Can someone block him or her or they, whoever it is? Thank you. But anyway, I will definitely be watching this movie, and you will most definitely get a review from me. And ironically, they are releasing it on Martin Luther King's birthday. KM Hearts, it says, Torn, you should interview Nate on your channel. That would be dope. That would be dope. I would be all for that. Vulcan, you said they're trying to bring up the rape case again. Okay, whatever. You know what? That's funny. You know, it's interesting. They want to bring that up again. Let's bring up them salaries them Me Too heifers been giving out for the last, I don't know how many months to years. Going on lavish trips and whatnot and only giving a fraction of the money to actual rape victims who actually needed it. Since they want to talk about something, let's talk about something that's recent that actually got proven and is actually out there in the news as we speak. And you want to know what's also so crazy? I think this movie is actually being streamed the same weekend as that Night in Miami film, the one that Regina King is directing, the one about Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, who else is in that? And some other figures. I think that's also being streamed the same exact weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So if they are occurring the same week, I will be watching both of them, and I will review them both. And both of them are streaming, because I think one of them is going to be on Amazon Prime. So I definitely am a Prime member. So if it is coming on Prime, I will be watching it. But again, shout out to Nate Parker, Spike Lee, and everybody involved with this movie. I will definitely be checking it out. I'm sure y'all will be watching it as well. And we will go from there. Let's move on to the next topic. And that is Rig Nation and his response to these idiots that thought it was a good idea to throw dirt and Letitia Wright under the bus. Now, I posted the link to this on my Twitter account and on my community tab. How many of y'all in the chat watched the video that Rig Nation posted up called I'm Sorry? Well, it's not called I'm Sorry. It's called something else, but he put I'm Sorry in the thumbnail. How many of y'all got a chance to go and watch that video? Dark Visit said he did. Let's see if it's anybody else who watched it. All right, Jill B watched it. Levin Malaje watched it. Joseph watched it. DJ, your response definitely let me know that you watched it. And yes, that's a good choice of words. He did intellectually spank all of those people, and rightfully so. What I liked about his response, and I'm glad you said intellectually spank, because he didn't have to yell, he didn't raise his voice, he didn't curse, he just went at them. And what I like about and how he framed the video, he probably made it seem like he was going to apologize to them. Nah, he apologized to Letitia Wright because he felt bad that she got all that backlash off of a video he did. Because one of the things that I was wondering when I did the video about her and what happened was that he was going to take out his frustration of his video getting blocked on YouTube on her. But he didn't do that. He took his frustration out on them, and he did it in a very calm and intellectual way, while also still apologizing to her for what happened. Like, he spent the video was almost 20 minutes long. He spent the first half addressing what the video was about. Then he spent the last half, he spent a small piece, then apologizing to her. Then the last half, he went in on those idiots. So shout out to him for doing that. I think I subscribed to him after I watched that one video. That one video was enough. But he said that on his app. And I like how I said that was very interesting and clever of him. He found a way to plug in his app, which I think is called the Rig Nation app. He found a way to plug in his app and tell people, if you go download my app, you can go and listen to the video or the commentary that I gave that you can no longer hear on YouTube because they blocked it. So if y'all go and download the Rig Nation app, you can go and listen to the commentary, which I believe is like almost 2 hours long. I think they said it's like 69 minutes. So that's about an hour. Well, not 2 hours. I'm jumping the gun. That's a little over an hour. Now you gotta understand, Letitia is of Guyanese and British descent. He's from over there too. So they have a connection because of the location of where they're from. And they're both black. So I definitely commend him for doing it. As a matter of fact, that thing was so potent, I might go after this live stream and go listen to it again. It was so good. Yeah, AK Sour God, that was smart marketing. So see, YouTube did him a favor by blocking his video, because that gave him an opportunity to plug his app so people can go back and watch this quote unquote controversial video. Which, by the way, when you listen to the whole thing, he didn't say anything completely negative against Hall T. So it's like they use that as an excuse to come after her. Because all I kept seeing up and down the timeline was how she went at Hall T and Hall T this and Hall T that, and calling her this and that phobic and everything like that. And I said, it's amazing how people are like robots. Like, they're praising you 1 minute and then all of a sudden a switch happens and you're this. Like, they went from praising this woman and saying how much they loved her in Black Panther and how much They can't wait to see her in the sequel. How much she did for little girls with STEM, and we hope to see her take on the mantle of Black Panther. They went from that to, oh, she's a transphobic bitch. She's an anti-vaxxing bitch. I hope Marvel removes her and recasts her in Black Panther. She needs to be fired. This woman ended up having to delete her, I don't know if she took her Twitter account down or whatever, but they ran her up off social media. The name of the app is called the Rig Nation app. Rig Nation. That's what it's called. Rignation. What's going on, Tony? But they literally flipped on her overnight. And all she wanted was some clarification about this vaccine, which a lot of people wanted. Last I checked, you don't just jump head first into something like this and just be like, okay. And then on top of that, I can see why she really questioned it, because she's over in the UK. I don't know if she's here in the States right now. I think the only time she's really in the States is if she's filming something, but I don't know if she's here now. But she legit wanted to know if, was this safe to take? Like, she had questions and concerns. But yeah, that was messed up, what they did. And I felt bad for her. I could only, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was crying. I would not be surprised if she started crying about that, because she genuinely did not do that with any type of malice or harm. She really just genuinely wanted to know what the hell was going on. But the worst part, the absolute worst part of it all, and many of you in the chat have already alluded to it several times in the last 5 minutes since I've been talking about this, is Don Chocolate Chip Head Ass Cheeto. Don Cheeto showed his black ass that day when it came to this situation. What's more upsetting about this whole thing, besides the fact that both of them are black, is the fact that both of them work within the same studio market. They're both attached to the MCU. She's in Black Panther. He's attached through Iron Man. But here's the thing though, Don, if anybody was to ask who was the most popular or who was the more likable one, as far as characters go, many would say she is. And she only has, 3 movies under her belt. And a lot of people gravitated towards her, especially a lot of girls gravitated towards her in one movie. How many movies did it take for people to really say that they liked War Machine? Don. I swear, it must be something about people named Don that I don't like. Don Cheadle, Donald Trump, Donna Lemonade. But I shouldn't be surprised, because remember, Don Cheadle's the same person. If you remember when he hosted SNL a couple years ago, he wore a shirt that said, "Protect trans kids." And it's sad because Don Cheadle is actually a decent actor. I liked him in the movies that he's been in. Like, if anyone should have had her back, he should have said he could have had her back. Or better yet, Don, not say nothing at all. That's like that you could have did that. Not say anything at all. If they was to ask you what you had to say, you could have said no comment. I don't know what it is with people just having to say like off the wall shit. And then I think he tried to clean it up, but it wasn't that good of a cleanup. It was still filthy. Like, it didn't work. Besides, who's trying to see a War Machine movie anyway? And by the way, I actually found out through that Disney Investors Day that they are actually giving him a show. Yes, I forgot what the name of the show is called, but he is gonna have a show that's coming out next year on Disney Plus. I won't be watching it. To be quite honest, even if he didn't say what he said and threw her under the bus, I probably still wouldn't watch it because it doesn't sound intriguing enough to me. I don't think it's enough for me to want to go out and watch anything War Machine related. That was never one of my characters that I said I liked. I like Falcon more better than him, especially after I saw that new trailer for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, they look like they gave Sam Wilson a serious ass upgrade, and he needed that. So it's whatever. But shout out again to Rake Nation for coming to her defense and putting those people in their place intellectually. Like I said, the video to that is posted on my community tab. It's not that far back. If you go to my community tab, you can go and check it, and it's right there if you want to watch it. If you have not watched it, or if you want to watch it again, go ahead. It's right there. And let's move on from that on to my very last topic. And that is the issue with Casanova. I feel like I shouldn't even have to ask y'all, have y'all heard about this story? I feel like I shouldn't even have to ask. Now, if you go watch people like Lovely T, she's been talking about this story for a few days now, and she really breaks it down. I'm not here to break down what's going on with this guy. That's why I said if you go watch her channel and watch her videos, she talks about it a lot. She even recently did a podcast the other day where she was on with another person, and they spent like an hour talking about this situation right here. But I really don't want to talk about what's going on with him, but it is involving him. But I want to talk about what's going on with him and that Russian DJ. The Russian DJ. So in case y'all have not heard, it was exposed. I don't want to say exposed, but it recently came out that the FBI, that the way that they were able to figure out what Casanova and his team, with his crew, the way that they was able to get discovered is because of interviews that Casanova had done with the Russian DJ in the past. You're right, Vimalaja. He does ask questions like a Fed. Like when they were playing like little clips from old interviews that he did with him, I'm listening to the questions and I said, this guy sounds like he's interrogating. He sounds like he's interrogating this man, and he's not picking up what the Russian DJ's putting down. I'm like, stop talking. Like that's literally, I was in the gym yesterday on the treadmill listening to this, and I'm like, dude, stop talking. You keep talking. Like, he was asking some very personal questions, and Casanova was sitting up there just giving everything out there. And someone had made a good point. You have people who go on his show and will tell this guy, who as far as I know is a complete stranger, all of their personal information in their business that they wouldn't tell a family member, that they would not tell a friend. They wouldn't even tell a spouse. You mean to tell me you're not going to tell people that you could possibly trust, but you go and tell this guy who you know has a history of asking these Fed interrogation style questions? That's why I don't feel bad for anybody who goes on his show and starts spilling their guts out everywhere. Then you got some of these rappers out here who are literally snitching on themselves in their own songs. Like that one I talked about a couple months ago that was talking about how he stole all of that loan money. Like, how dumb have you got to be to do that? Really? Like, at that point, you can't put all of that onto the Russian. Yes, he has created an outlet for him to do that, but you have the choice not to go onto his show because you know what he's going to do. This is worse than the first 48. Talking to Jordan Black, he said they need to go to the black media instead. This is actually something that Town Biz, and shout out to him, has been yelling about for a while. As a matter of fact, when I had him on my live stream last month, that was something we talked about, how black people, especially these rappers, need to stop going onto his show and come talk to people like us, or people who, you know, like us, who will want to interview them or talk to them. But apparently we're not good enough for them. We're not. Because apparently we're not white enough, or we don't have a platform big enough, but you want to go talk to a guy that now is partially responsible for the FBI coming after you. And I say partially because you decided to go out there and give out all this personal information that could come back and convict you. Those RICO charges that they have on him are no joke. Those are the type of charges you do not want to have on you. And these aren't little kids that are being pumped for information. These are grown ass adults that should know better. Good luck getting out of this. I don't know, like, we keep saying stop going to him, stop going to him, stop going to him. Now, I wonder if people are going to stop going to him after the FBI just came out and said what they said. Remember, he was the same one who had a whole bunch of shit to say when Minister Farrakhan, refused to go on his show. And then he started putting out this random propaganda and lies. What does that tell you? You think that Minister Farrakhan is going to go on to his show, especially knowing the type of questions that the Russian asks? And you know the establishment does not like Minister Farrakhan, as it is. They're mad they can't touch that man. But you have people like Casanova and other people out there who aren't even on the level of the minister go on there and telling their whole goddamn life story from the time they were learning to walk to the time they, wherever the hell they are at now. And the thing is, the people aren't getting paid to be on the Russian. They just going on there for free. Because, you know, Corey Holcomb had talked about that. He said they ain't even getting paid to go on there. I don't know, like, it's just, it's sad all the way around. Like, y'all will continue to go in to be interviewed, quote unquote, because I don't even call it an interview. It's an interrogation. Appreciate the super chat, Gnome King. But I'm like this. If you go on to the Russian to interview, that's on you for whatever happens to you. Yes, Solo Dolo. I don't watch his channel. Like, his channel doesn't even come up in my recommenders. And I said that, good, let it stay that way. I do not watch that man. I don't even watch when people post links of him interviewing people. Like, I bypass it. I don't watch it. But yeah, hopefully, with the FBI coming out and saying what they said about this, will be a light bulb to go off in people's brains to not go on this man's platform. But like somebody said, you will still have people that will go on there and be interviewed by him. But yeah, anyway, that was my last story, y'all. I told y'all this was going to be a fairly short show and it was going to be mostly entertainment based. But I pretty much have everything out that I needed to say for today. Shout out to everybody who has come through. Shout out to everybody who subscribed. Shout out to anybody who has donated, whether it was through the super chat or through the PayPal. Well, not the PayPal, but through the super chat. I will be back with the regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. You know, the 4 videos a day, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 69, you said you just now get the notification after I've been on live stream for over an hour? That's crazy. But you just got to listen to the playback. Unfortunately, you wasn't able to catch the live. But yeah, y'all go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to catch us on some rest because like I told y'all in the beginning, there's another live stream that I'm going to be a part of that's on a whole nother platform later on this evening. And I have to have my energy for that because those can tend to run a little late, especially because of the time difference.